All right, so we're back. I want to touch on this concept because it will literally change your entire life when you understand it. Everything that we've ever created in this world has been created as a cause and effect. What that really means is that in the order of creation, whether it's man made um, or evolution, something always evolves from something else. There's a cause, there's an effect. So if I want to build a car, I'm going to take metals, I'm going to take electronics from existing materials, and I'm going to form them and mold them and shape them and build them together, and now you have this car. So it looks like a new car, but really it's just the manufacturer taking materials and making them work and putting them together. So if I want to make a flower vase out of clay, yeah, it starts with raw clay and then it gets molded. Hashem, on the other hand, creates something from nothing. And I know that's difficult to comprehend because he's the only entity in the entire universe that can create that way. We're not geared towards even understanding how that's possible because everything we've ever seen and known has been created something from something. Even children. My sperm goes in your egg. That actually sounds terrible. But a sperm goes into a uterus mixed with an egg, and now a baby forms, right? And so you're going to be like, wow, this child wasn't here, but look, that child still came from somewhere. I came from my father, he came from his father, etc., etc. But where did that initial first creation come from? It came from Hashem, and he is the only one who had nothing and created something. It was just him, and then he created all these entities. Now, why is this even important? Who cares how it was done? Why am I touching on these things? The reason I'm touching on this is because when we create something, once it exists, that creation no longer needs us. Once I make that flower vase, I can take my hands off the spindle and the vase still exists. Whereas when Hashem creates, he has to continuously create, or else that object ceases to exist. Because its creation, something from nothing, is dependent on that original life source, or else it stops existing. Which means that all of creation literally recreates itself every single nanosecond, or else this whole system would disappear. Think about electricity. You have electricity in your home and you have a bunch of light switches. So you think that because you hit the little light switch in your house, you turned on the light. But if the electricity wasn't coming to your house from the power plant, meaning the master switch, then none of your light switches would work anyway. So without this constant recreation of something from nothing that comes from Hashem that only he can do, the rest of the system just disappears. Why is this important? The reason it's important is because oftentimes people think that Hashem created the world, God created the world, and then he left. But understanding this, we know that that's simply impossible. Because if he left and wasn't involved in every single detail, then it would all disappear. That the vivifying force that gives life has to exist at all times, meaning that the same Hashem that created the world, the same Hashem that was with Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Moshe, etc., that took us out of Egypt, is the same Hashem that we have today, or else we wouldn't even be here, right? So that allows us to get to a concept called divine providence, which means that Hashem is involved in every little detail in our lives. Because the food that you eat would cease to exist if Hashem didn't say the master switch is on, right? And this continues in every aspect of our lives. And once you realize that Hashem is involved in every minute detail of creation and your specific life. There's a story of the Baal Shem Tov, who someone came to him and said, how do you explain divine providence? How does Hashem, who has all these worlds and all this stuff to deal with, have time to care about my little life? And the Baal Shem Tov took this man to the window and he pointed outside and he said, "Look, it's raining." And he saw a leaf fall off the tree. He took him outside and he picked up the leaf and he saw that there was a little bug underneath the leaf. And he said, "This leaf fell so that this insect could have shelter from the rain." Hashem did that for this insect. If Hashem cared that much about this insect, who can't even think, has no Torah and mitzvos, doesn't help Hashem serve his ultimate purpose of having mitzvahs being done in this world, then how much more so is Hashem looking out for every single thing that you as a human being can do and that happens to you in your life? That's divine providence. And it's not just a nice thought, it's a living and breathing fact. Because if Hashem wasn't involved in every little detail, if the master switch was gone for even a second, you could have all your light switches up and it would make no difference because you don't have electricity funneling to your house. So by default, the world was created in a way that Hashem can't leave. He doesn't want to leave, which means that he's with each and every one of us every single day. We'll go more into this, but I wanted to get the general concept to you. So with that, have a great Shabbos.